Smart means business. We're here driving your business through all the way. But of course, we always believe in inspiration. And at this particular time, let's get into our inspiration moment. Is missed, like I said, because it comes almost dressed just like a work. And of course, it all points us back to why we actually need to embrace work. I mean, being working from that line. But of course, just to add on to quite some other quotes here, somebody here says that success is not final, failure, neither failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Yeah, the courage to continue is what really counts at the end of the day. And now here someone also tells you that don't watch the clock, do what it does. Don't just watch the clock, but rather do what it exactly does. All right, now there is also something that I wanted us to take a little look. Most especially, this is into the development evolution. Many times in life, actually, if I'm not mistaken, when you take a look at, for example, when innovations actually come into place, when innovations come into place, we have those people that adapt to these innovations quite very early, yeah? And these people that acquaint themselves with these innovations quite early find themselves at a point of getting the best out of them, and they emerge wealthy billionaires and in so many more. Let's take, for instance, if you can take a look at way back in time, where we had the mobile money, mobile money transactions, being introduced. The first people that adapted, the early adapters, actually benefited more. Now, as we speak, the industry is actually much more congested with different players. These are what we call laggards in some kind of a sense, the majority kind of laggards, if I may say that. So, what is on today trending? Currently today, there are lots of artificial intelligence, the likes of cryptocurrency trading, the Bitcoin and all that. And it seems to be like it's been undermined in some kind of a way. Some people, when they hear this, they consider it actually some kind of a scam. But I'll tell you this, 10 years from now, the early people that have actually positioned themselves to be a part of this are going to be the multi-billionaires as we speak. Because when we go through the different theories of development, all over from manufacturing to now artificial intelligence, you get to realize that the only way for you, the early starters, they all, in other words, what we call the early adopters. Because there are two people here. We have that we have the innovators and the group of people that are not innovators, but what this group of people can actually do is to adapt to the innovations of the innovators. That is to make a living and in some kind of a way, earn something really quite positive for their life to move on quite effectively. Well, that is it for our inspiration moment today. And of course, just a little that we need to be quick. You need to be adaptive. I'll give you an example of Dangote, who was actually instructed to buy shares in Jeff Bezos' Amazon. And now today, Jeff Bezos is one of the top 5 richest people, with Amazon's stock shares valued at a very high rate. And remember, he almost spent 95% of his capital to purchase stocks in Jeff Bezos' Amazon. And now it's not by mistake that he's one of the richest billionaires. Is one of those, the richest. Okay, considered. Of course, there are people with money, but which may not be quantified in terms of liquid perspective. But what I'm trying to say, he's one of the wealthiest people in Africa, but buying just shares from Jeff Bezos' Amazon. Why? Because he knew that the value of this company 5, 7 to 10 years from the time he invested would actually be quite high. All right, now heading into our discussion today, back to the innovation. Now, the members of Parliament on a Science, Technology and Innovation Committee were impressed by the speed of progress of science and technology innovation projects. With that, now we see that Kampala members of Parliament sitting on the Science, Technology and Innovation Committee were currently touring projects under the 8 pillars of the industrial value chain. Now, they are under the stewardship of the Secretariat for STI OP, headed by Dr. Monica Mosenero. Now, on Monday, 29th April, they visited Uganda Industrial Research Institute, and the members of Parliament, led by Alex Niyonsaba, Bufumbira South County legislator, the chairperson of the committee, were impressed actually by what they saw on ground during the oversight visit of the selected industrial value chain for the National Development Plan 3. Now, in his submission, Member of Parliament Niyonsaba tasked the management of the National Science, Technology and Innovation, that is a center in Namamba Industrial Park, Mukono District, to explain the formalities of young unemployed engineers that is all over the country and how they can actually benefit from the facility. Now, he also wondered why the facility is actually not fully operational, yet the construction was completed over a year ago. Now, that is from the last time they were there. They haven't seen quite any change in the human traffic in the place. And the question is, in other words, they are trying to question, where is the problem? Where is the problem? Now, the chairperson also requested, that is for a detailed report on strides so far made by the center and strategic plans for their programs that will definitely be rolled out. Now, the management was definitely also tasked to provide that is accountability of how the funds allocated by the Parliament have actually been utilized for its intended purpose for promoting the STI activities. Well, let's get into this report. We shall be returning shortly to wind this up, but keep it S&B.
We had an oversight visit to Namamve, where there are STI projects, 2 of them. One is called the TBID, which is the Technology Incubation Center, Business Incubation Center, and then the other one is the Uganda Industrial Research Institute. They have excellent facilities. The TBID is not yet complete. It will be complete by June. And it is meant to accommodate startup companies in the areas of electronics. And Uganda Industrial Research Institute is for mentoring people and skill enhancement, because they have all the equipment, modern equipment that are used internationally for production of spare parts and components that can make up production machines. So we have been there today, and they are good projects.
The committee has moved to 3 centers. The first one is the STI Center, which is under the Science and Technology Institute, and the other one is for URI, the one which is for the research institution. And what we found out is that, especially for URI, it is well established. It has all the machinery and just requires capital to ensure that they begin production. We found a locally made radio which can be made into wood. We found so many places which can make other equipments, electric appliances and so on and so forth. So according to our observation is that this URI in Namamvi, if it is given over 200 billion Uganda shillings, that will be a very good investment that they will keep making their own money without asking for money from government. And I think this is what the committee will tell the entire parliament, that let's ensure that we have seed capital to URI, because they have all the potentials, they have all the engineers. Now they have told us that when they train the engineers, the neighborhood is poaching them and doubling the pay, which is also very unfair. So whatever we found at the other neighboring one of Science and Technology Institute is a replica. But the one of URI is very well expanded, and according to us, the one of Science and Technology Institute is supposed to be a regulator, but now the regulator has gone into production.
The Uganda Industrial Research Institute is, of course, rewarded with about 200 billion Ugandan shillings, like the Member of Parliament mentioned. It's actually in position to sustain itself, and you could clearly tell and see the new innovations, the developments that were in there, but the only challenge was in terms of the trained personnel who are to use this. But what does this really mean? Now, this should be something that is encouraged all the way from a tender age, science and technology, because it's the backbone now. It's turning out to be the backbone of this country, not only just to use it locally. Of course, it can be, the services can be applicable for the country's economic, socio-economic transformation, but we can also rule out the fact that this can also stretch all the way to exporting these services to foreign countries, whereby the time is now where Ugandans should actually stop being, should start leaving other countries as going on expatriate basis, known to just on what we call modern day slavery basis, working jobs that just bringing about $1,000. So if you're earning $1,000, how much are you remitting home? Assuming you're remitting $300, and now you're competing with an economy of Kenya of people that are remitting about $10,000 every month. So you can't really develop effectively in terms of diaspora remittances. But science and technology can actually be the heart of all this. Now, the members of the committee said that they are concerned with actually, this is what they said. What they are concerned with is to see the results in terms of locally manufactured goods. Now, the members also noted the gender inequality gaps, where 90% of the staff at the Namamvi Center are men, of course, leaving out women. Now, of course, this is all in line with gender balance, gender disparities issue. Now, another issue that the members of parliament raised was what innovations are the scientists coming up with to solve issues of the post-harvest handling, whereby agriculture products which are perishable in nature, like tomatoes and green vegetables, through the value addition. Yeah, so we can clearly see all this being explained that way. Now, Peter Urigen, who is the Undersecretary Ministry of Science and Technology, said that they are working towards having value for the money, that is for every penny that they get from the government. He definitely said that there was a delay in the operationalization of the project, simply because they were still at the implementation phase, which he says was to be completed in that line. Yes, like of course mentioning there, the new innovations that are being done by our local innovators should be in position the country's problems. In other words, you don't innovate because you have the passion of innovation, but you innovate because you are specifically targeting a certain problem that the society is facing. Now, this is exactly what the innovators, Uganda Industry Research Institute, are being urged to really take into absolute consideration. So it's important that they take it very important, because you get to realize that sometimes when you innovate out of passion, that means you're innovating out of purpose, and in that line, you're innovating for yourself, and nobody will actually be in position to get to use your innovation. And now you've wasted all the resources to develop all these, the resources which would have been actually allocated to a more profitable sector. Because we are talking about now here prioritizing your resources. Where are you putting all your focus on? Is it really solving a specific problem for that society you are developing for? All right, now Professor Charles Kwesiga, the Executive Director of the Uganda Industry Research Institute, in submission to the committee, said that it is impossible to industrialize without modern machinery. Of course, adding that with the current state of affairs, it is proving to be a challenge to get the required machinery. Now, he said that most Ugandan engineers are behind in terms of that is what he called acclimatization. That is with the modern technology, which makes it very hard to actually employ them. Yes, majority of the graduates, the engineers, are not really exposed to the current machinery technology. But of course, this all comes in line with the environment in which they study these particular things. Now, he said that during a work trip last week in Addis Ababa, on the invitation of the United Nations Economic Commission, that is for Africa, he was able to sign a memorandum of understanding with a partner, and Uganda Industrial Research Institute is going to be manufacturing smart water meters and transformers from Namamve. So imagine all this is happening. And now this can be, because there are two ways. If we industrialize from the perspective of import substitution, there is a huge import bill that we are likely to save. Now, as we stabilize from the domestic market, because when you industrialize and you first focus on the domestic market, because if you head straight into the foreign markets, the competition is quite so hard. So you operationalize your operations within the domestic market, you get the income you ought to get. Of course, that is as a result of government creating a conducive working environment for you in terms of tax subsidies. So when you make the marginal profits, you invest back and be able to produce the quality that can compete on the global market. And now that's how a country grows, because just domestic supply may not be sufficient enough. You need some income that is coming in from other countries if we are to talk about actual development here. Yes. Now, however, Professor Kwesiga, through a veiled attack, of course, on the line Minister of Science and Technology and Innovation, from whom he said is out of touch with activities ongoing at the Uganda Industry Research Institute and needs to find time and visit the facility. Now, some of the challenges faced by the institute include inadequate budgetary allocation, compounded by release shortfalls, which has resulted into failure to fully operationalize, and of course also failure to complete projects on time and inability to honor various obligations, including contractual commitments, is also turning out to be one of those key challenges from that line. Now, there is also the challenge of high staff attrition occasioned by competing needs for limited limited pool of specialized and experienced personnel in terms of engaging in similar endeavors. Now, of course, we see that the poaching of the high-value URI staff is also attributed to URI's remuneration and staff benefits, which are lower compared to the competitors. Talking about staff benefits, because actually when you continue to read this report further, you get to realize about some of these scientists that want to be taken away because where they are being lobbied for, they are promising higher benefits compared to what the URI can actually offer. But all this is due to less budgetary allocations, deficits all the time, and maybe what if they tried an internal investigation in terms of fund usage? Probably there could be another problem of corruption, corrupt officials in this particular one. All right, that is it for the discussion at this particular point. Let's get into the break. Of course, keep it S&B. Stick around.